Hey, hello everybody. It's the Support Our Hashtag Creatives podcast. My name is Alan Greenstein. My organization is Support Our Hashtag Creatives, and our goal is to level the playing field for underrepresented creators and artists so that they have the same opportunities as everyone else to get their works created, distributed, and seen. I'm also on the board of directors of the Bella Levy Foundation. The goal of the Bella Levy Foundation is to fight human trafficking and provide a safe haven for its warriors. So I'm so excited tonight. We have Jordan Battiste. He's our guest. He's the co-founder of the Five4Five Productions and is also a filmmaker. So, Jordan, why don't you give a brief introduction and it'll be on our way.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm just so grateful that I get a chance to support you and everything that all the wonderful things that you're doing. So thank you. I guess a little bit about me is I'm actually a musician first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Musician, singer-songwriter in another life, and at some point I decided the creative spirit was taking me on a different journey and brought me towards filmmaking, and it's just an avenue that I've really been enjoying more recently than anything else. But yeah, I'm a New York native, grew up in Jamaica, Queens, and then moved to Harlem. I've been in Harlem for 14 years, I think. And then, and so, yeah, just like a New York dude. And I've been singing basically my whole life, and a musician for a while, and a lot of my friends and everyone kind of knows me as a music producer and a performer and a singer before anything else. And then I just made a pivot and just started creating, films basically. I got some money, I got a camera, I started following a news anchor for a little while, and I was kind of helping her curate her YouTube page, and then I just started doing music videos for any and everyone, editing anything I could edit, just sinking my teeth into like the creative process. Like, how do I figure out graphics? How do I color? How do I learn, what the camera and the different lenses are doing? And just really wrapped my head around that for a while, and started doing like little commercials, did a ton and still do a ton of like corporate work. And yeah, and it's just brought me to this place now where I'm like, I guess I'm a filmmaker, technically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I see that Randy has joined us. She says, "Hi, Jordan." I think you can probably see it on the screen.
Yes. Hi, Randy.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that the way you talked about being in music. So how did you decide to go that route at first before you had your pivot?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was your influence that got you into that?
Well,
Into
so okay,
music and art?
so first off, I've always been a movie like head, and even as a young kid. So the thing that kind of got me into it, I remember my uncle. I must have been like 8 or 7, and he was like, "Do you want to see this really scary movie?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Like, yeah, I'm like thrilled. And he put on The Exorcist.
Oh,
And I was, I mean, I guess they understand all the social things that make it scary and things like that. But like as a young kid, I didn't quite understand why it was scary. And then, there were certain things that were like a little like, obviously scary for me to see, certain imagery and stuff. But my mom was vacuuming one day, and the movie was on, and
yeah.
but the TV was muted. I couldn't really like hear anything. So I'm watching this thing and I'm like, oh, it's not really that scary. And it just dawned on me, why is this thing not that scary? It's because it's muted. Oh, because the music is what makes it oh, so then at that point, I'm like, I think I want to get into soundtrack music. I think I want to be a conductor. I think I want to learn, and so like at like 9 years old, I'm walking around singing like these orchestrations and things in
Mhm.
my mind and really like figuring out the tone and musical like things that make movies so dramatic and everything. And then I ended up singing and auditioning for performing arts high school because I wanted to learn music, and how to read and write music. And so that brought me down that line of, singing for real and, singing on stage and everything. And I learned sight reading and became a music producer from that point on. But even in music production, which is a great kind of left turn for me, I'd say, it got a little stale for me, which I think is like blasphemous to say because I think music is such an emotional and really important thing, and still to me too. I mean, it's music is everything, but yeah, it got a little stale for me. I was like, how many times can I write this R&B song about you know girls shaking their whatever in the club or I just wasn't writing the right songs, I suppose. And my brother was actually, since him and he was the film brother, and I was the brother who made music. And yeah, I think I just kind of watched him a little bit, and he got a camera, like a Panasonic. I don't even know what it was, but he followed me around for a little bit, and I just started getting interested in it. And at some point, I decided I'm just gonna pick up a screenwriting course. I just threw myself in. And I remember the first day that I went, and the teacher was like, kind of taught us like the basics, but literally because he gave us this exercise of like a writing exercise, very simple. I immediately felt like, okay, I'm a writer. And I suddenly like I can't explain the excitement that I had. I feel like my bones were shaking. Like I was so excited to finally be doing something that I was like really, really passionate about. And from then on, I think I was hooked. I was hooked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting what you said earlier about when there was no sound,
Yeah.
you lost a lot. I mean, it shows how important sound is, whether it be music or just dialogue or whatever it is. So
Uh,
you discovered that early on.
yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when the Exorcist first came out, it was a really big sensation and everything. So
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah, yeah. Okay, but as you said, as you said, you began to go into the interested in screen writing stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah. Yeah, that was great. I mean, writing and the thing that was wonderful for me because as an R&B guy, there feels like a certain there's a one or two colors that I basically exist in creatively.
Hmm.
But to now have this three-dimensional world open up to me where I can dance in, there's no age limit, there's no race limit, there's no story limit. It's just this wonderful, crazy, colorful world that I can write in. I can be, do, say whatever I want. Oh my God, the freedom that's involved in that.
Yeah,
I love it. And what I love too is, you don't have to because at the time that I was singing, there was so much conversation about being this young type of singer in order to be like accepted or to be, cool or good or valuable. But in film, you could start your acting career at 70. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
of course.
and what a freeing thought. What an incredible idea that, I didn't have to be restricted by anything, so I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess social media must have played a role in your being able to get into filmmaking and screenwriting.
I'd say, yeah. I'd say, yeah. I've been part of the general public conversation for a while, so for as long as I could, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to say hi to June DeGuiso. He's a filmmaker that I work with on a lot of his projects.
All right.
So June, thanks for joining us tonight.
What up, June?
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So see, I want to in a few minutes talk about your organization, 5 for 5. Okay, but before we do, we're gonna stop for a brief commercial, and we will be right back. Oh. I'm Alan Greenstein, founder and producer at Support Our Hashtag Creatives. At Support Our Hashtag Creatives, I offer a number of services to support those developing a project. Check out the services tab of my website at supportourcreatives.com. If you are interested, please use the contact tab on my website or email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. Okay, we're back. Yes. So, yeah. So let's talk about your organization, 5 for 5 Productions. What made you decide to start that organization?
5 for 5 was so I was for 2 seconds I was in a band with my best friend Josh Raff, and I decided I need to leave this band and I need to, I told everyone, guys, I'm out. I need to make real money. This is crazy. Hey to me, so what's going on? And so I left and I created a production company, brought my best friend with me, and I said, let's do this thing. Let's like create content for, there's got to be, corporations out there that need videos. We could just do this thing, and we did it for like a second, and it wasn't like, it was tough. It's tough pitching and trying to get in the door, and I'm like, there's no way we're gonna make any money with this. And so I had the idea to start volunteering at a school. We did it for 1 semester. Actually, there was a grant that we tried to apply for, and we saw like the money, the dollar signs, and we're like, okay, if we get this grant, then we can like get in the school. Anyway, we ended up missing the grant by like a week or something like that. And but we asked the school, can we just come in and do this film program with you for free? And of course they were like, yeah, sure. And so we started, and it was great. It was like, this is back in 2018. We did this film program. We had a couple kids, maybe 4 or 5 kids. The next week we had 7. The next week after that it became like 12.
Oh.
And the principal was like, how did you get all of those kids who are the troublemakers, who are all the kids who were, playing basketball? They were just kind of like, they didn't want to be held down, because they just didn't want to be in school, really. But our program was very fast. We put the camera right in their hands. We're like, we're not going to do any script writing, or like, we're not going to sit down and do like serious reading. We're going to create some stories, but we're just going to get right into filmmaking. And that was the thing. That's the key ingredient. It's trusting young people to know that they're smart, trusting them to know that they already understand technology. They already understand what makes a story kind of like great or juicy or whatever. We're going to give them the formula to, make it a solid plan or a solid idea. But kids kind of know what they want already. And we trusted that, and they responded positively to that. And so we've been rocking since 2018. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. What's the age range of the students that you work with?
Primarily high school. So that's 13 to 18, 14 to 18. And we do some middle school. We are in some middle schools as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how did you get the various schools or the whole Board of Education, for that matter, to know about you?
Oh my God. I feel like we still are not known in
Oh,
some ways. It's word of mouth. We do any and everything. I mean, cold emails, cold calls. A friend of mine, a mentor of mine, calls it the walk of shame. So what that is, we may call, we may email for a while, we don't hear anything from them. We walk up to the school, we say, hey, we're here to see Principal so and so. We're from 5 for 5. We get in, we wait for a little bit, and of course they take us right then and there because we're live and in person. And a lot of the times, we have a pretty good success rate when we're in the room with a principal or a dean or assistant principal. We're personable enough, we're non-threatening enough that we can talk to people and let them know that we're really a real program. We're here to educate, to empower the kids, and to offer them some career and technical skills. And so we usually end up onboarding the schools that way when it's in person.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That is a great way of getting in like that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, do you have services in different cities, or is it just in New York?
Just New York. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Although we definitely want to be nationwide as much as
Yeah.
we can. We'll
Okay.
get
Well,
there. We'll get there one day.
yes, you will. I'm sure you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what services do you provide to schools and other customers? Matter of fact, do you have other customers besides the schools?
Other with the film
Or
program?
5 for 5?
No, we're primarily in public schools. What services? I mean, we're so filmmaking in general, right? We operate in school and after school. We have in-school programming, after-school programming, for multiple times a week, depending on what the school needs. We are teaching camera techniques, so they're learning, what the lenses do, what the various angles and shot sizes are, what the film equipment in general does, lighting techniques, proper mic technique for capturing audio, um, general production, like, planning the pre-production, uh, you know, uh, and then there's editing as well. And so, which I primarily teach, which is kind of a tough thing for high school students because I think at that point they're not necessarily prone to doing like really technical things. So, by the time you want to sit down and do something technical, you're probably in college. So those who aren't open to editing are probably a lot more advanced than their other counterparts.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So yeah, that's what it is. Editing and filmmaking all across the board.
oh, wow. Yeah. So, yeah. So I haven't had a chance to say hi to Tamish yet, and we'll be talking more about the collaboration between Jordan and Tamis a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, so stick around, Tamis, and let's see. We also have Crystal Starnes has joined us tonight.
Hey,
I am,
hey.
Crystal Starnes and I, we're always talking to each other, coming up with ideas relative to our podcast and stuff like that. That's great to have. And so Crystal, she's really great person to know and have get the insights from her.
Okay.
And yeah, and we've also a few months ago, I guess, we had a podcast episode with her. So people, if you go to Spotify, you can look up Crystal Starnes on the Sport Hashtag Greatest podcast and then learn more about her.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So let's talk about Tamisa's project called Confessions.
Yes.
And yes. So and how the two of you got to work together on it. But first, can you give a brief synopsis of Confessions, what it's about?
Yeah, Confessions is let's see if I can do this justice. Confessions is a comedy drama about a woman named Alana who is a black she's a matchmaker for black love and the Black community, but she can't find love herself. And so I think that that's kind of a fun hook to it. But it deals in themes of community and themes of healing, between, relationship wise, friendship wise, and I think it is a very important and powerful series. I think, these are conversations that are, and the thing that I think is really unique about it is it has this kind of, there was like an era in, I'd say, in movies where there were like these like Black movies that had a certain feel to it, like the Love Jones and Love and Basketball, and
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
90s kind of like, Waiting to Exhale, or I mean, it had this kind of like unique kind of flavor in the 90s to those types of movies. And we really did talk a lot about what that was. Why was it so special? Why did it resonate so much with the Black community? And we wanted to capture a lot of that magic, and I think a lot of it is, we did a pretty good job. A lot of it is the music too. It's the pacing of what the episode is, and yeah, I'm pretty excited about Confessions. Actually, yeah, there's a lot of potential with Confessions, and all the conversations that'll stem from that. So yeah.
Yeah. So how did you meet Tamise?
We so Tamise cornered me. She cornered me in the bathroom. I'm like, that sounds crazy, but she's gonna kill me for saying that. We were in this restaurant. I was editing some videos for Five4Five, and I think she was in the booth, the adjacent booth to me. So when I went to the bathroom, I think she was just behind me. I stepped out and she's like, "Hey, are you a filmmaker? What's going on?" And I was like, "Yes, what's going on?" And she told me about this project she was working on, and she'd been working on it for a while and was looking for someone to kind of help kind of film it. And she had a specific kind of vision how she wanted it to be filmed. Of course, yeah. I love working with new people, great ideas. So we met, she told me about it, and she gave me like, I mean, she spoke about it for like 30 seconds, and I think I was already completing her sentences. I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh yeah, has this flavor. It looks like this." And she was like, "Yes, exactly." I was like, "Yeah, and then you could also shoot it this way. And what if you want about this?" It just started like throwing in a bunch of solutions and a bunch of like ideas on how we could approach the production. And we had like a really good creative vibe, good creative energy happening. Um, and that was it. And then she is a really strong producer. So a lot of times, I really want to get my hands dirty and kind of jump in and do things. And she already did it. She's already called figured out the location. She's already figured out what, who's the crew is going to be, or what items we need. And in that sense, and I really haven't necessarily worked with such a strong producer before. So it's been a pleasure working with her on this production. And, to have a strong partner is invaluable, honestly. And she's a really smart woman. She understands um, connection. She understands things that are really valuable, in how to speak to the community in ways that they're going to receive it. So, I think that that's really, really important, and just a valuable characteristic to have. So, and she's the mastermind. She's got the whole thing plotted out already. So it's like, yeah, it's good. It's easy. It's easy.
Yeah, yeah. You said, yeah. I had already been working with Tamise with Confessions, and I came to New York, had lunch with her, and she mentioned you. So
Hmm.
then we ended up all having lunch together, and that's
Yeah.
how. And I figured you were a great candidate for being on the podcast. So here we are.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so happy to be here. I mean, honestly, sitting down and hanging with you for a while was really, really good for me too, because you have a great energy, and it's nice to chat with you. So this is obviously a pleasure for me.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah. So, what exactly, what role did you play in Confessions? You know.
So it transformed. It was initially cinematographer. I was going to be DP. And the more we got to talking about what we were going to be filming, and what kind of, oh my god, we interviewed a bunch of gaffers and started to cobble together the crew. I think Tamise had a lot of I don't want to call them traumatic experiences, but she had some very specific, interesting past experiences doing production. And I found myself a lot of times kind of being like, hey, it's going to be okay. It's all good. All we got to, concern ourselves with is just this right here. Don't even worry about that. Da, 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 da. And I think over time, I must have built a certain level of confidence in her to the point where she asked if I would direct. And of course, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to direct. Yeah, I'm in. And and that was it. So I am the director. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that is fantastic. I mean, this ways how these things work out. You meet and you just click,
Yeah,
and you're working together. You make it more likely that there's going to be a successful outcome,
that's right. That's
which of
exactly.
course is one of my goals too. So that's why I'm so happy that the two of you are working together, and it's
Yeah.
everything is seems to be coming together so great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. Um, so what's next in the process? Where is Confessions right now in the process, and what's next?
Yeah, what's next? We want to film the rest of the series. We so far have a pilot that's been in the can. It's basically finished editing. It's ready to be seen. But we also want to. We're reaching out to funders now. We're starting to reach out to figure out what the funding for the rest of the series is going to be. So we've created decks and pitch decks and lookbooks and mood boards and
Yeah.
all the things, and put this extensive budget together, which to me is a math genius or something. I think she is. I'm telling you, this woman is a very smart and thorough woman, and um, no, so that's where we're at now. We're looking for funding. We're looking to do this on our own as well. So we know that there's a certain level of control that you relinquish when, so there was a plan A that I had where, you know, I didn't think that I was going to be on this road so extensively. And I thought, I can help film this, and then I can help kind of introduce her to some people that I know, and they'd be interested in this. And they would sign it on if we went to like a 2B or something, and they like the concept, maybe they'd be willing to fund the rest of the series. And then there it is. Hopefully I can get hired again as a DP or something. But now we've kind of gone down this, our relationship has been strengthened, and we've figured out a lot more ways to work with each other. And then she also, her understanding of, I think, the industry, and really her moves as as an entrepreneur and an owner of this property, I think, has also matured, where she's decided she wants to just do everything herself, which I honestly respect. I think it's a good move. And at this level, we also understand that once a production company or a distribution company takes on a lot of the financial duties, they are also taking on ownership as well. And that's something that Tamise is not willing to sacrifice. And I respect her for that, honestly. I think, if you're going to do something, go, excuse the expression, balls to the wall, just like go for it. You know what I mean? Like, and we could do it in a smart and savvy way where we're baking in the marketing as well. And, we're finding out that a lot of the times, producers and filmmakers or creators of series, when they sign on to certain distribution companies, you're still doing the legwork yourself. You're still doing, it's just you're still making the phone calls and making the deals. And a lot of these production companies or distribution companies don't necessarily put in the same amount of energy that you would, because obviously they're not as invested as you are, because it's not their baby. You're probably number, you know, 8,000, in a whole list of projects that they're working on. So I think that this is a really good road that we're taking now. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Um, let's talk about the importance of pivoting. You already mentioned pivoting earlier in the show, where you
Yeah.
decided to go from music to filmmaking. So,
Yes.
yeah, so and specifically for Confessions, what kind of pivoting did you have to do to get from point A to point B? Did you have to do any major changes to initial plans or anything like that?
Pivoting. Yes. I mean, that I feel like that's happening and this is just like normal production stuff, right? I mean, when one location is no longer available, you switch and you make it work. Yeah, were there any like oh gosh, I wish she was on the call. Tamisk, if you can jump in and tell us and make a comment. What was there were some pivots. I cannot remember now. I'm so awful right now. I can't believe that I'm drawing a blank. But there's always a pivot, right? There's always, whenever there's an issue that shows up, you have to make the best move. You have to make the best judgment and figure out the next best step. So yeah, that's definitely part of the process, I'd say, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, definitely. I guess sometimes pivot, in order to get to the successful conclusion, pivoting is a necessity
Yeah.
depending upon the circumstances.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Um, let's talk about opportunities.
Hmm.
You're always looking for the next opportunity, right? And and you might be looking for certain things, and sometimes you might find that you have to turn down an opportunity because the time isn't quite right. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Wow. Yes. There was a time when I worked with a production company down in South Carolina. I filmed a movie, uh, and the director of the movie really, he's such a great guy. He's always, any opportunity that shows up, he's like, hey, this is, what's going on. He's kind of throwing my name out there. And he was in touch with a magazine that was looking for creatives. I think they just needed to, like, I mean, I don't want to diminish what the magazine was doing, but I think they had a certain quota that they were trying to meet or something. And so they were looking for just like general creatives to interview or something like that. And he threw my name out there and they reached out to me, and um I just felt like I wasn't right for it. You
Hmm.
know, I just and it wasn't that I just felt like I wasn't at the place in my career where I felt confident enough to speak about myself, to say that, yeah, obviously I've done quite a bit of work and had a certain bit of knowledge, but something about it just in my spirit let me know this is not the time for me to make this move. So I really had to just turn it down, and which I think is, and I'm so happy I did that, because I knew that if I had moved forward with that interview, it wouldn't have been right. Probably would have said something that might have, you know, maybe augmented my story a little bit more, or made me sound like I was someone who I wasn't. But, in order to like look good, because everyone wants to look good, but it wasn't important for me to look good in that moment. It was important that I was honest and honest with myself, honestly. And so that was it. I had to turn that one down because it wasn't time. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. Well, I think it takes a lot of strength to be able to do something like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Exactly.
It's a tough decision sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have a few more questions.
Okay.
We're going to have to stop for another brief commercial, and we'll be right back. I'm Alan Greenstein, founder and producer at Support Our Hashtag Creatives. If you make something, albeit make a movie, start a business, write a book, make a physical product, run a nonprofit, promote people, are a songwriter, etc., you too are a creative, and I would love to have you be a guest on the Support Our Hashtag Creatives podcast. If you want to be featured on this podcast, please use the contact tab on my website at supportourcreatives.com or email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. Hey, we are back.
We're
And
back.
yes, we are. Yeah. Okay. So what opportunities are you actually pursuing now in addition to being on Confessions? Is there anything happening right now?
Yeah, I'm writing again.
Okay.
I'm writing and I'm really excited about that. I'm also starting to direct like ever since directing. It's so funny how that works. I think when sometimes when you put the energy out into the universe responds
Mm.
it positively. And since directing, I've been offered a couple other directing opportunities. So I'm embracing all of that, and it's keeping me busy, but it's also a wonderful thing. It's a new chapter in my filmmaking development. And actually, I love directing. I think this is a role that I need to be in. I want to continue to exist in this space, and not so much that I need to be in control of things, but I love the collaborative, space that I can be in where I'm creating the conditions for everyone that I'm working with to kind of be the best versions of themselves, and and allowing the magic of this communal kind of creative process to kind of take hold, which I think is really interesting. Honestly, it's interesting that the whole dynamic.
Oh, well, so it sounds like you really know what your path, what you want to do. Directing is your primary interest, as
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
and writing as well.
yeah, and writing. Yeah, yeah. It's one of them. Yeah, I am interested in the whole creative process, but directing is pretty satisfying so far.
Yeah. Now, um, well, some of the directors, they direct their own work. So you do a director dash writer, or
Yeah.
you might be directing other people's works. So, do you have any particular preference, or you would like to do either of that? Where you direct your own stuff as well as other people's stuff.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm pretty flexible. There's no I love of course I would love to write my own stuff, but I love the creativity of the creative dynamic. So I think there's something about helping other people's vision come to life that I really enjoy. Um I do. I love helping people be their best or to get their best creative vision out. So I'm a big fan of this so far right now. I think I need to become more egotistical and become more self-centered so that I can be more about the projects that I'm writing. I think, I find that's, and it's weird that it's weird. This is where the world is these days, where people are so consumed with their own narrative. And, I mean, it's with selfies, starting with selfies down to, reels. And, we are the star of our own show all the time. And I
Yeah.
think this mentality is like permeated all of society and is become this commonplace thing. And when I think a lot of times when people have a more grounded approach to things, you probably appear as a recluse or something closer to someone who's shy or not necessarily as confident, which I think is not necessarily true. I think, I can speak for myself. I think I'm just a little bit more measured, and I like to contemplate a little bit more before I make a choice publicly.
Yeah. Well, that's really good to know. And everybody has their own way of operating.
Yeah.
And I hope that this works for you. Be successful in the future.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Taking the path, that you've selected.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have anything closing remarks?
Ooh, closing remarks. Oh God. Stay true to your voice. Stay true to your vision. I think once you, as a creative, I think we all get that creative spark that excites us and compels us to start creating something, compels us to put that pen right down on the paper and start writing. Whatever that feeling is, stay true to that vision, because that's the thing that takes you through. That's the thing that's going to lead you towards the end and give your project the fullest, the most like sincere and honest creative aspects, because I think it's easy for us to get lost in the technical aspects of things and how production and all these other things can go, but like ultimately we sometimes lose sight of what was the initial spark. So I think staying true to that initial spark is really important. Keep that energy there, and be crazy. I think just be crazy to the end. No one, no one is watching, honestly. No one cares. That's just what it is, because everyone's crazy, right? Everyone's doing their own thing, but I think you just got to get out there. Just put yourself out there and get crazy, and get crazy about your creativity.
I got to remember that. Get crazy about your creativity.
Yeah.
That's alliteration going on there. Yeah, nice. So, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Wow. You can reach me at Jordan Battiste on Instagram. You can also email me at jordanbatiste@gmail.com. I think those are the best ways to reach out to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, because I'm sure that after watching this, people are going to want to get in touch with you.
Oh, that would be awesome.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being on tonight. I want to let people know that for those who are not able to see the live broadcast, this episode will be repurposed and will be showing up on Spotify and your other favorite streaming platforms. So you'll be on the alert for that. So that's fantastic. Okay. So I'd like to thank Jordan Battiste for being on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And please, once again, go to Spotify to look through, view my old episodes, and you'll be able to watch my next episodes, which will be coming up soon. So, with that, I'm going to say good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. And Alan, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. It's so great having you on. Stick around for a few minutes. I want to talk after we go. End the live. Okay. So, okay.
Here's a message about Crystal Starnes, advocate for victims, and podcaster.
Are you an entrepreneur, actor, music artist, or someone trying to make a difference in the community, or have a story that can help someone suffering in silence? If your answer is yes, then you need to check out Crystal Starnes' various podcast shows that she produces and hosts. Come on one of her shows and make a difference. Promote your business on her platforms. Ask her about package deals to get your brand more noticed. Want a commercial about your business done by her voice? She also offers package deals for that service. You can find her at crystalstarnshow.com and voiceforvictimsradio.com. Also, If you want access to all her podcast shows and blogs, join her community awareness page for just $4.99 a month. That's right, just $4.99 a month. Then you would have access at a click of a button to her various platforms. Crystal Starnes is trying to make a difference for all people in the world. She wants to help as many people as she can so no one is suffering in silence. Anyone who has a vision and wants to achieve their dream, she has the passion to help promote you to get you to the next level of success.
And we're clear.
Yeah.